Welcome again to Children's Liturgy with Church of St. Mary of the Angels. Let's listen to the Gospel.
Gospel according to Luke. One day, Jesus told this parable. Once there was a rich man who owned many farms. One year, the harvest was so good that the man could not store it all in his many barns. "I will build bigger and better barns," he said, "and then I will be so rich that I will have nothing to worry about." But God said to the man, "You are a foolish man. When you die, what use will your worldly riches be? Because in the eyes of God, you are poor indeed."
In this parable of the rich fool, why did God call the rich man foolish? The man had seemed to be making a wise decision of building a bigger barn to store his big harvest. The big harvest will earn the rich man more money, which he thinks will mean that he has nothing more to worry about. But in the eyes of God, of Jesus, this man is foolish. Why? Jesus told this parable to the crowd listening to him preach, to remind them that our worldly riches will not be able to follow us after our death. He is trying to tell us that being rich now on earth is not the same as being rich in God's eyes. This man thinks he will no longer have any worries because he is building his riches by building bigger barns to hold his big harvest. He thinks money is all he will ever need. But in actual fact, this man is a fool in God's eyes, because the man may be rich on earth now by spending all his time and energy working hard on his business. But he is not working on building his riches in heaven. Hence, this rich man is poor in God's eyes. For he may be rich now on earth with his large house and abundance of food. But after his death, he will spend the rest of eternity in poverty. Indeed, God's idea of richness is very different from what we are used to. When we think of a rich king, we think of a king dressed in fine clothes, sitting in a grand golden chariot pulled by many large, well-groomed horses. We don't usually think of a humbly dressed man sitting atop a donkey, just like how Jesus was as he rode the donkey into Jerusalem. Remember the parable of the widow's offering? The woman donated only 2 coins to the temple as it was all she had. Yet Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others." Was Jesus confused? The poor widow had only put in 2 coins. Yet why did Jesus say she put more into the treasury than all the other donors? This is because Jesus was talking about the treasury in heaven. The woman had sacrificed all the money she had. So even though she had donated very little money, it was a lot to her, as it was all she had. God knows this and appreciates it. That is why her behavior is worth its weight in gold in the eyes of God. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where the thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Hence, we must take note that we should not only concern ourselves with building up riches and treasures on earth. Instead, we should make even greater effort and take more actions to build up our treasures and riches in heaven, for that is everlasting. What then should we do to fill up our bank account in heaven? You can start doing this from young, even if you are only 6, 7, or 8 years old. You can fill up your heavenly piggy bank with kind words and good deeds. It's never too early or too late to start. Let's have a look at J and Z. Both boys are in the same class in school. Jay lives in a condominium with a nice pool and even has his own bedroom, which is filled with expensive toys, computer games, and books, which his parents and grandparents buy for him. However, in school, Jay would only be polite in front of his teachers and would say unkind things about classmates who do not let him have his way in everything he does. He gives candy and fancy erasers to those who will do whatever he says, even bad things. For example, he would bully his classmates by asking his friends to ostracize and not play or talk to certain other classmates whom he doesn't like. He likes to tell lies about people to anyone who would listen, to make them dislike one another. Z lives in an apartment flat and needs to share a bedroom with his 2 sisters. His home doesn't have the latest toys that are in trend at the moment, nor does he have the console game that everyone seems to be talking about. However, Z feels very blessed to be staying near the library where he can easily borrow books. He is polite to everyone and speaks kindly to all, even classmates and schoolmates he doesn't know very well. Z looks out for classmates who seem left out and would often ask them to join him and his friends at recess. This way, he makes many friends, and his friends are eager to follow his lead and be warm and welcoming to classmates who seem quiet and shy. People around Z sees how kind and helpful he is and are inspired and encouraged to follow his good example. Who is richer, J or Z? J seems to be richer than Z, on earth that is. But Z is definitely the one who is filling his heavenly treasure chest with every kind word he says and good deed that he does. So you see, one is never too young to start saving up riches in heaven. Just do as Jesus would do. Here are the 3 P's to help you remember what to do. Pack. Perform acts of charity and kindness. Be kind. Help those in need. Remember how Jesus helped change the water to wine at a wedding? And how he raised Lazarus from the dead? Don't worry, you won't need to perform such miracles, but you can observe the people around you and help those in need. For example, in school, you can share your textbook with your friend next to you when she forgets to bring hers. Or you can help your friends clean the classroom even though you are not the one on duty. At home, you can help to do household chores like folding clothes and sweeping the floor or wiping the table after meals. When you perform acts of charity and kindness, do be humble. Remember how Jesus healed the blind man and said to him, "Tell no one." Whenever you are kind and do charity, good deeds, God sees and God knows. He fills your heavenly treasure chest. There is no need to neither seek praise for your actions nor feel disgruntled that you were not lauded for helping. God has already seen, and He knows your thoughts and intentions. The next P is pardon. Forgive those who did wrong towards you. Jesus forgave Peter even though he denied him 3 times. And Jesus asked God to forgive the people who crucified him, and these included the Jewish leaders who plotted against him. Sometimes people intentionally seek to harm us, Sometimes it is not done on purpose. Either way, just pardon them. Forgive them, as Jesus would want us to. Forgive them, just as Jesus did those who harmed him. Lastly, the third P is pray. Jesus rowed the boat out to sea to seek time alone with the Lord, to pray. This reminds us that even as we are busy with everything in our lives, just as Jesus was so busy with preaching the Lord's word every day, he made time to pray. Hence, we must do so as well. Every night before you sleep, spend a minute or two talking to God before you sleep. Yes, that can be counted as a prayer. Jesus loves us and wants to hear about our day. Talk to him. Pray to him. Therefore, to have everlasting riches in heaven, remember the 3 P's: pact, pardon, and pray. Get started today!